Online for Authors. I'm chatting with Ruth F Stevens, author of My Year of Casual Acquaintances. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you, Terry. It's great to be here.
It is wonderful to have you. I loved the book. I have so many thoughts and questions. But before we dive in, can you give my listeners just like a little elevator pitch as to what they're going to find when they open up the cover of My Year of Casual Acquaintances?
Okay, sure. Elevator pitch.
Yeah.
My Year of Casual Acquaintances. It's a contemporary women's fiction title. And I would say it has roughly equal parts of humor, romance, and family drama. It's about a woman named Margaret, or Mar, who is recently out of a long marriage and a bitter divorce. And so she's decided to reinvent herself. And as part of this reinvention, she moves to a little apartment by the ocean. She joins a new gym, and she cuts herself off from everything in her past life. So she's going to start fresh, meet new people, have adventures, but no commitments. Just a lot of fun.
Right.
That's the idea going.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where did this idea for Mar's year-long journey come from?
Well, a lot of it is set at this gym that she has just joined to meet new people. And I have worked from home since the 1980s, way before it was commonplace to do that. And I loved the freedom that it gave me, but it was very isolating. So I joined a gym, and every day I would go to fitness classes, and that became my social time during the day. And I grew to be fascinated with gym relationships, the way you meet people casually, and sometimes that's all it is, but other times you find yourselves in intimate conversations or getting into deeper relationships. And I thought it would be an interesting subject for a work of fiction.
Absolutely.
So that's where it started.
Wonderful. And what I liked about it is it felt very realistic, and it's a place where you do meet people. You can't help but meet people at a gym. And so you do, and it's a wide range of people. Yes. And Mar definitely met a wide range of people. And I found that to be really interesting.
Yes, she did.
Yeah. So I also noted, though, in your bio that you and Mar have some similar interests, because you like hip hop dancing, and we have Mar who's doing hip hop dancing. And so my question was immediately, how much of Mar is Ruth?
Okay. A lot of people want to know that. And she does have a lot of my qualities. I tend to be cranky like she is, and sometimes kind of sarcastic. I share her taste in dance classes. You know, it's like hip hop, yes, Zumba, no, not really, not for me. And in wine, I like good wine, as she does. But her life is not my life.
Okay.
I have been happily married for more than 40 years. So that part of it is different. She's younger than I am. She's taller, and she has thinner thighs.
I think I hadn't considered that answer. That's really wonderful. That's wonderful. But it is funny, because as I was reading your bio, I thought, oh, wow, this is sounding more and more like Mar herself. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. So Mar, as we talked about, meets an amazing array of characters. And I think that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed your book so much, because I love a good character. And Mar was a good character. And then so were all of these individual, usually like month-long relationship things that she would have. And then they'd kind of peter out again. Which one was your favorite to write of those other characters?
Well, Charlie, the main love interest, of course, was up there. But there were other people too. There was a hip hop chapter where she gets into a flirtation with a hip hop teacher. That was fun. And there were a couple of sad ones that I enjoyed. An older man named Vincent that she meets at like a nursing home and befriends him. And this is later in the book, because she's really just later in the book starting to develop real relationships instead of the casual, no commitment type.
Right. That there were several times in the book. I laughed a lot, first of all,
Good.
but there were several times where I was like, oh, come on, Mar, what are you doing? Because she wasn't allowing herself to really live. She says that's what she wants to do. She says that she's out there to like reinvent herself and figure out who she is and she's going to live, but she doesn't, because she doesn't allow people too close.
Right.
And I yell at her, and it's like, oh, come on, stop this. And so I think you did a really good job, because I felt, I knew what she was doing and why she was doing it. Mm-hmm. And I also wanted to shake her for doing it.
Good. Yeah, yeah, she needed that.
Yeah.
She makes mistakes. I mean, especially in the early chapters of the book.
Right. As she's trying to figure things out. I also really enjoyed her relationship with her son. Not that it was an easy relationship. So when I say enjoyed it, I think I meant in the book, like the way it moved through the book. And then you find out, later why and all of the things. But there was this, tugging relationship between her and her son. And it kind of centered around the grandson.
Right.
Yeah.
It did. It did. And, it's, this has been a surprise to me that so Mar has this very fraught relationship with her son. It's very tense. And I can't believe how many readers have said to me, oh man, I really related to that. This is like my relationship with my grown son or daughter. There seems to be a lot of this going on.
Yeah. I feel very blessed. I have 4 children, and then I have 3 stepchildren, and I get along with all of them. And I feel like we have a decent relationship, and I get to see all of my grandkids, and it's all beautiful. But I do know relationships like that. Yeah. And I think that it was interesting that you put that in there as just like one more thing in her life that isn't really working the way that she thinks it should.
Right. And her son is siding with his dad, even though the dad was the one who broke up the marriage.
Away. Right. Yeah. He went away and started with someone else, and, and she's left hanging, and she doesn't understand. And then though, in that fraught relationship, she sometimes makes terrible errors of judgment.
Oh,
not thinking about what her son is going to think about. And it's like, you've already got this fragile relationship. This is when you walk on eggshells. And instead she does things, and I think, oh, that's not going to go over well. So what was it like to write a romance for a middle-aged older woman versus most romances we see are, the 20-somethings, maybe 30. Mm-hmm. We don't often see a romance at this stage. Mm-hmm. What was that like writing it?
Well, to me, Mar is not older from where I'm sitting.
Well, yes,
so I think that there aren't enough stories about 50-year-old romances.
Right.
And to me, 50 is a really interesting age. People are 50 are not young, but from my standpoint, not old. And they've been around the block, they're seasoned, they've seen a lot of life. They're interesting. They're complex. I think they can be a lot more interesting than 20-year-olds.
Yes.
So I think there's a lot
20-year-olds get to be beautiful and thin, and 50-year-olds get to be wise.
Right. Although Mar is 50, but looks a lot younger. And if anybody out there has enjoyed the Younger series on Netflix with Sutton Foster, this would be a good book for you.
Absolutely. I didn't even think about that, but I did enjoy that show. And you're right, that has a lot of this, the same kind of idea behind it as someone who's older who can pass as younger.
Right.
Yeah. That's great. Mm-hmm. So Ruth, are you a plotter or are you a pantser?
Oh, definitely plotter.
You're a plotter.
And especially with this book, because the episodic structure where every month is a new character, but you also have this overriding story about what happens to Mar, over the course of year of her divorced life. It took a lot of plotting. And for this book, I literally took a wall calendar and I filled in the months, who's it going to be each month.
Okay.
And 7 or 8 of them I filled in pretty fast. But after that, I had to kind of struggle to come up with 12.
Right. Now what am I going to do? Yeah.
and try to vary them.
Right. And make them, because like I said, you had some very interesting characters that were very different from one another. And it would get hard after a while. This is totally unrelated, except that my granddaughter and I were writing a story today even. And she had this idea that she wanted to do where there was this squirrel who couldn't find its way home. And she wanted to talk to different animals. And they were going to not be able to help her until one did. And I asked her, how many animals do you want the squirrel to talk to? And she said, 10. And I said, that's going to be hard. Right. And so you went with 12 and I'm thinking, yep, that's going to be hard. It's the shorter number makes the variances easier. Right. And the further you go out, it's like, oh, now what am I going to bring in? Like,
well, and it's a tiny bit of a spoiler, but I ran out of people. I had to bring in a dog for 1 month. So
right. But still, isn't that interesting? Because once again, you did find a way to make it varied, which I absolutely loved. Do you have a particular, I'm not a plotter. I'm very much a pantser. And I'm always looking at people who plot to see if there's anything I can learn. I don't believe I'll ever be a plotter, but I think there's things about plotting that maybe I could introduce into my pantsing world. Do you have a particular method that you use, something that like a book or a method that you find better than others, or is yours more free form in your head?
It's free form. It starts in my head and then it's on the computer. But just in the form of a outline to me is not a good word, because outline, you always picture like the outlines you did in school with all the indentations and stuff. And it's more me writing a paragraph or two about each scene.
Okay.
And filling out the book that way. And then building from there and changing it a little bit as I go along. Right.
So, and when you do that, do you always start from the beginning and work through, or do you have like maybe, oh, I like this character, and so you start in June instead of in January? Like, how does that work for you?
Yep. And with my other books, it was pretty much beginning to end. But with this book, there was a little bit of jumping around. I mean, I knew where it would end, but I wasn't sure how some of the characters would fit in or what some of the sequences would be.
Right.
So that happened as I went along.
Wonderful. So are you an everyday writer? Do you get up in the morning and write every day, or are you more sporadic than that?
When I'm working on a book, I work every day. And I don't have a schedule. I know there are people who say, oh, every day I work from 9 to noon. And but I have to, when I'm working on a book, I have to force myself to do other things, really.
Okay.
Yeah. But when I'm not working on a book, I mean, it's sort of all or nothing.
Yeah. I tell people I'm a binge writer. So I think we might have that in common, because when I'm writing, that's what I'm doing. Nothing else. Like, I forget to eat,
I never forget to eat.
Well, I can forget to eat, not often, as you can see, but I mean, I can forget to eat. And so, and I will just stay so focused. And then when I'm done and I'm not writing, I'm really not writing. Yeah. So I call myself a binge writer. So that might be a term you could bring in.
Well, I guess plotters and pantsers can both do that.
Right. And I think that's true. I think that there's so many variances to how an author can write a book. I know at first I really felt like I was doing it wrong because I'm a pantser and plotting just doesn't work for me. And I've come to realize that there's 1,000,001 ways to write a book. Yeah. And what matters is in the end, do you have a good book? And if the answer is yes, then the process was fine. So
that's right. And I saw Lisa C. speaking once, and she talked about how she works backwards. Yeah, when she even reads books backwards, she reads the ends first. And I hate to do that.
Oh, I hate that too.
I want to be surprised. Yeah.
So do I. I can't. In fact, I've had people pick up my books before and turn to the back. And I think, no. Don't do it. As you were writing, was there any, I don't know if you do this, but like my characters sometimes surprise me where I didn't have it in mind. And all of a sudden a character's doing something that I was kind of unprepared for. Did that happen at all in this book?
Yes, that did happen. And it usually happens to me at some point in books, but it happened also in kind of a different way in that there's a very minor character, Mum. It's Margaret's mother, and she never appears in the book. She lives in New York. She's British, very aloof, and they have phone conversations. Yeah. And I was in a writing critique group, and we were meeting and read a scene with the mother. And one of my critique partners said, you don't really need that character. You could handle that information in other ways. And I said, oh, I do need her because she's going to play a big role in the sequel. And I didn't even know I was going to write a sequel really till the words came out. And I felt like the character was telling me.
Channeling, right?
Getting rid of me, bloody hell.
I actually had a character that was supposed to be super minor, no name, just going to be in one chapter to help move something forward. And the next thing you know, the character has a name and is demanding to be part of the whole book.
Yep.
And it's like, whoa, where did that come from? Like it wasn't in my mindset. Right. But all of a sudden it was happening. I like that when that happens. So
yeah. So I do too.
So is there going to be a sequel?
There is a sequel.
Well, I didn't even know it. So tell us about the sequel.
Okay, there is a sequel. It's out.
Fantastic.
It's called The Unexpected Guests.
Okay.
And it picks up where my Year of Casual Acquaintances leaves off. But it's a different structure. It's not episodic. Okay. I can't say too much.
No, I don't because it's
not episodic,
follow, right?
And even though Margaret is still a main character in the book, we're not inside her head anymore. Casual Acquaintances is all first person, right. Margaret. And the sequel is all three alternating POVs. It's three of the characters from the first book, including Mum. So,
fantastic!
Yeah. She had her way. Good. She had her way to become a major character.
Are you allowed to say? Does like Mum? Is she there? Like in person, we actually meet her, or is she still a phone character?
You meet her.
Okay,
you meet her.
Oh, I'm going to love this one. That sounds absolutely fabulous. When did that come out, Ruth?
It actually came out almost a year ago. My publisher released the two of them very close together, which made for a pretty crazy year or so.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And that's my excuse for not having written anything beyond that. But the two are called the South Bay series. But two books is really more of a set than a series. Yeah. So I really need to get going on the third book to make it.
So do you have ideas for the third book?
I have lots of ideas. And they're percolating. I have a lot of my little notes, but it's still early days.
Yes. I know that percolating stage. I have one. So I've got one in the editing phase right now. And I have one kind of sitting here on the side that keeps bubbling. And it's like, I can't quite determine where it's going yet. I have like these vague notions and I'm still trying to figure out how to bring it into something. When I get started as a pantser, I don't know the ending usually, but I at least have a really good solid where I'm starting or some main thing, something. Mm-hmm. And I'm dancing around it right now. So I know that feeling of like, oh, I don't know where I'm going next.
Yeah.
So does your publisher have a date for you? Like you've got to have it done by a certain date, or is this all on you?
It's on me. On me.
Yeah. That's actually good. I mean, sometimes it helps to have the little push.
Yes.
But boy, working in a deadline is hard for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I've never really had to do it with creative writing. I mean,
Yeah.
Obviously with final revisions and proofs and things like that, but that's not the same.
No. I
Writing
tell
a book
people
from
that
Mhm.
my first draft is the most creative part.
Yeah.
Then my first edit, which is just me editing, like I'm going through and editing, also is a little bit creative because I recognize, oh, I need more here and I need, and so I can, after that, it just starts feeling very mechanical. It's just things that have to be done. And
Mhm.
I don't particularly care for that phase. I like the end result.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone should do the editing. Like I've read books that haven't been through editors and you can tell. And so I'm always thankful for it, but I don't find it to be the fun part of writing.
Yeah. And well, I had to do for the sequel for The Unexpected Guest, I had to do a major rewrite because I wrote it during COVID, during the pandemic, and I wrote it as a COVID novel. It was set during lockdown, and publishers and agents didn't want that.
Right.
And so
everyone wants to forget, right?
But COVID was the whole, glue that stuck all the characters in the same place, literally,
right,
figuratively. And so I had to change the whole structure.
Premise.
It would still have the same characters and the same motivations and relationships. And that was really hard.
I'll bet that was. That actually sounds kind of miserable.
I thought it would be, but once I got into it, it was okay.
Yeah. Because at the point that you're doing such a major rewrite, you get back into creative writing again.
Yes.
At some point, you forget that you're editing, and you
right. And there was a lot of problem solving. Like, all right, I can't have that character die of COVID. So what am I going to do with
what am I going to do?
Now?
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what am I going to do? Yeah. Oh, very, very interesting. I like that. So your next thing that you're going to work on will be book 3 of this series, or do you have other things in mind?
I have other things in mind, but I think it's more likely that I'll stick with the series. Yeah, book 3.
Yeah. Do you write anything other than novels? Have you ever tried like short stories, poetry, anything else?
Actually, when I gave up my day job, which was in PR and advertising, so I was always writing. But I wrote a couple of plays, full-length theatrical plays, because I loved theater and I felt comfortable writing dialogue. And I honestly didn't think I could write a novel. I didn't think I had it in me to do any narrative prose. So I started with plays.
And were they ever produced, ever go anywhere?
The first one was called Stage 7, and it was produced community theater production.
Oh,
and
fun.
And I just found it so hard to get a play produced. And once COVID hit, forget it.
COVID changed everything for a long time. Yeah.
But I turned that into a novel. It was my debut novel. And that was like having a very big outline to work from.
Exactly. So what is your debut novel named?
Stage 7.
Oh, so it's the same as the play name.
Yep.
Stage 7.
Same name.
Fantastic.
But expanded a lot.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, hey guys, if you want to keep this conversation going, head on over to Novels and Latte Book Club on Facebook. There you will have a chance to win a digital copy of my Year of Casual Acquaintances. Just tell me something you liked or learned during this conversation with Ruth, and you will be in the drawing. Ruth, if someone wanted to get in contact with you, talk with you about your writing, your books, what you should do next with your characters, how do they get in touch with you?
Okay, well, I'm mostly on Instagram, Ruth F Stevens author, and Facebook. And my website is just ruthfstevens.com. And the contact form there just goes straight into my email. So that's really
the easiest way.
Yes, and I find that more easily than I sometimes see messages on social media.
Right. Absolutely. So guys, I'll have all of that in the show notes so that you can reach out to Ruth. I highly recommend the book. And now I'm going to have to get the second now that I recognize that it's out there, because I really enjoyed the characters, and you will too. Once you've read Ruth's book, make sure you go out and review it, because as authors, we really need those reviews. Ruth, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you. It was delightful.
Thank you for listening to Online for Authors, where I, Terry M. Brown, author of character-driven fiction and host of the podcast, introduce readers to characters they'd love to invite to lunch. Tune in next Tuesday for another podcast episode.